Hello and welcome to the first Almond View podcast of 2023. My name is Jake Pointer and joined with me tonight are my content horny panellists Owen Innes, Thomas Froh and Stephen Povey.
Yeah.
Hello there.
On this week's chunky episode, we're going to be reviewing a number of the games over the Christmas period and picking our highs and lows, but mostly highs because we're absolutely class and we're definitely going to Europe. We will then be checking in with the high-flying women's team on their start to 2023 and reviewing their Christmas period as a whole. And then lastly, to finish up, we're going to be doing a new feature, continued feature of It's Only January, but as we give our predictions for the end of the season. So we hope you had the best Christmas and New Year. We hope you are relaxed, skint, and antisocial. So all you want to do is sit and listen to a podcast with your new Livy slippers on. This is one chunky boy, so please strap yourselves in for another episode with us here at the Almond View Podcast. So boys, welcome back to the first episode of 2023. I feel like I've not seen you in bloody ages. How we doing? Boys, how was your Christmas and New Year?
I think I was good. I must have been a good boy last year. All good with me. Bring on 2023. Hopefully another good year for the Livy.
Did we get any Livy gifts? That's what more important. What I want to know about.
Oh man, I bought myself a Livy jumper in November, like Christmas jumper, and it didn't arrive till the 28th. It was like, well, Christmas is done now, so you'll see me flaunting that all of December next year. Like,
should that be like the episode title picture? Is just you like
see you next year.
Anyone else, boys? I'm sure everybody gets Livy stuff for Christmas.
I got the away top.
Oh yes, yeah. That was an early Christmas present, wasn't it?
First, I got that. So I got that. It was a nice beginning to Christmas. So my girlfriend gave me it before the Hibs game and asked me if I wanted to wear it to the Hibs game. So I wore it to the Hibs game, and then I went to the Hibs game, and I left slightly just after you guys. You guys lasted 45 minutes. I lasted 47. And that top has been put in the drawer and it will never be worn again.
That's it. Until
I'm very superstitious about football tops. But it's a cracking shirt. Like, I don't think I got any other Livy related gifts apart from a strange feel of dread about the rest of the season after the Hibs game. Apart from that, ho ho ho, Merry fucking Christmas.
Class. Tab, any goodies?
But
I got the beer mat from Foco, the little with the three beers on it.
Oh no, I didn't get that one. I didn't see that.
It's
the wooden one.
Yeah, the wooden one. Yeah.
Oh.
And it's like engraved. It's got the badge in it. So that is very nicely displayed in my kitchen right now with the two engraved Livingston whiskey glasses that were sourced by our very own Owen Innes.
Yes.
So thank you, Owen, for sourcing those.
You're very welcome.
But yeah, they're sitting all nice in the kitchen just now.
Beautiful.
You were a very good boy last year.
Very good boy. I got from my dad. I got the two shirt beer mats.
Nice.
The home and away, and I got the Livingston Stein.
Oh, amazing!
Which is weird though.
I got a Livingston Stein for my brother and my dad as well. Like,
see, when you drink it, so it's cloudy glass. When you drink it, the cloud disappears. So I thought I'd like broke it or something like that. It goes like see through, and I thought it kind of looks a bit dirty. Like, you know, when you've eaten a curry or something or Chinese and you touch a glass and it's like all smeared in that. Nice. Like that. But anyway, it was very nice. Anyway, enough about Santa. Let's go straight into the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick review because I know hundreds of games that we've missed with our wee holiday period. So, Povey, I'm going to go to you first. I think you're going to discuss our first game on the calendar since it kind of being back. You're going to be talking about Celtic, am I right?
Yeah, that's right. So obviously, I think everyone was a bit gutted with that when the ice hit and we all missed that Dundee United game. I was really looking forward to that. But so be it. So the first game, I couldn't wait after World Cup to get back. So it was good. Good to just be there. I went through to Glasgow with my mate C-Bar, and we had a great wee evening. What I would say was it was never going to be an easy game, and you know what? We scored a goal. It was a good goal as well by Devlin. At 2-0 down, you were thinking, oh, bollocks to this. This is going to be a long evening, and you're sort of regretting going already. But when that goal went in, it was like we had a wee buzz at half time. And it was funny, actually. We met, sitting behind us was the Fitzwaters. So we had Jack Fitzwaters. It was funny, it was his dad's best mate. He came up to us like at the pie bit, and he was like, "Oh, what do you think of Jack Fitzwater?" And I'm like, "Well, clearly you're some sort of relation or something." And he was just like, "Oh yeah, let me introduce you to the family and all that." And like met his bro and all that. It was funny as anything. We're like, we love the Fitzwaters. So yeah, very nice folk. Hello, if you're listening. I did try and sell the podcast to them. But yeah, obviously it was good to see him start as well. I thought actually the starting lineup was pretty good. For me, so 2-1 at half time, and we were going in nice and positive, and I thought the second half, it's hard against Celtic. The way they pass is unbelievable. Those wee triangles they do in like really quick movement. But we did restrict them to the wing, and which is obviously the best thing we can do against them. And we did make it difficult. I thought our momentum and like chances of direct attacking was gone about the 70-minute mark or something. I think. We took off Montano first, maybe, and then we took off Omiyonga, maybe another way about, but they were both around the 70-minute mark. And as soon as they were off, we were really like, we were done. I knew we weren't going to equalise. And then, of course, Bruce Anderson went off for Galvez, and that was 100% nail in the coffin. Well, they've won it. But we gave a good account of ourselves. It was good to be back, and fair play to us for no taking a pumping, and Celtic are the best team in the league. I would say it's hard to argue that, and the way they played against us, it was hard. So yeah, fair play to the guys. Tough first game back. Would have much rather done the United, but hey ho, we got a goal. It was nice to celebrate a goal at Parkhead. It's always funny when you're like one of 30 people going nuts and the thousands around you. But good account of ourselves. Enjoyed that.
Nice. Well, that's good. I'm glad you had a good day at Celtic Park, because obviously it can be pretty horrific. Now, we're going to jump to myself here. We're going to go in chronological order. Wow, you can tell I've not been doing this for a few weeks. Can't you fucking speak? So I'm going to do the Hibs game. Don't worry, Livy fans. It's not going to last very long, because I was only there for 45 minutes. Yes, I know, I'm an absolute scumbag. So we had a good day planned. We were going to, first time we met up all together. Thomas didn't come because of something called a fucking dog or whatever that he like just hangs out with all the time.
Dog. Rebecca was working. Leave me alone.
Oh, bloody dog. Honestly, stop mentioning your dog in the podcast. Dog. Right, okay. So, went down, had a few pints, it was good. Went into the stadium. Always feel good when we're going to Easter Road. We've all got a bit of buzz about it, especially after last year's one was great. Christmas Eve, great. Get in on the back foot very, very quickly. It was, put it down to Hibs playing well. That is it. Yusuf, their kind of winger. I think he's pretty hot and cold, but I thought he really had Devlin on toast pretty early on for that one. And then obviously we went straight into a red cards kind of scenario that we've had over the next wee while. Red card, not for me. I've watched it quite a few times back. It totally, as we all know, changed the game so much, and I thought it was always going to be a real struggle after that. Although I did feel just before the red card we started coming into it a little bit more. Anderson had a few more touches, a couple of potential half chances as well. Slightly positive, but then it got real stinky. the first one went in, and then just really poor defensive errors. I would say as soon as we took off Bahambula as well, I felt he was probably our only real ball carrier. Obviously, we're missing Nubley. We've not had him for the last wee while. I think we'll probably discuss later on what a difference that man makes. You know, when he plays all the time, I think you think, oh, he is really good, but you forget about what an actual difference and how much we do play through him that makes such a difference. So buzzing for him to come back. But then, we got scalped at 3-0. I left at half-time with Povey and Big Al, purely because it was Christmas Eve. I'm sorry, you can't bevy in Easter Road. It's Christmas Eve. It only made sense. So we went to a local pub to wait for it all to blow over. And Povey walked into the pub, and this girl was like, "Oh, what have you got?" And so it's what was it called, Povey? The pub? The Mash Tun.
The Mash Tun.
The Mash Tun. So we walk in, and it's quite edgy with all their beers and that. So we went in, and Povey goes straight up, and he's like, "Right, so what can we get?" And there's a cider, one of the old beer pullers I've called what's it called? Old Rosie. Old Rosie. And the bar lady's like, do you want one of them? She's like, you're only allowed 2. So obviously, if you say that to Stephen Povey as well, fuck yeah, I'm gonna have more. But Povey you were certainly weren't like reeking, but I had one, and I was like, oh,
that's because I was sitting down the whole time. Getting back
on a couch, and it was like, pfft. So it was like strong. That was the best part of the day, getting steaming off this like 6% cider. But and then obviously we heard about the 2 penalties, which has been such a huge issue for us at the moment. But like I said, we're keeping positive, so we're going to skip past that. Obviously, we had the Fitzwater penalty, and then the Gonçalves penalty, and then he got thrown away. Fitzwater fucked it as well. End of the day, David Marshall, great keeper, known for saving his penalties. Difficult day, tough day at the office, but you know what? Fuck it. It was going to happen at some point. It's happened at a good part of the season where we can still pull things back. Fuck you, Hibs. We move on. So, enough of my chat now. I'm going to move over to Owen, who is going to talk about the St Mirren game. Am I correct?
Yes. Yeah. So, St Mirren, a nice wee midweek game with, night time under the lights, and we were really, really good that game, despite the fact that we were down to 10 men again very early. Now, when you look back, because of course that's the first thing that you need to look back in, and I've just been rewatching the highlights again, watching that is probably the softest red card out of like any red card I've seen given to a Livy player. Like Pittman clearly clears the ball away, and then Bacchus for St Mirren is trying to swipe at the same ball about 5 seconds after. Well, not necessarily 5 seconds after, but basically, and then just swipes Pittman's leg, completely destroying his shin. And so I can see why it's given, but I also disagree that it was a red. I think the initial card was the right card. I mean, a yellow card. It wasn't dangerous play. It wasn't putting anybody at risk. It was Bacchus putting himself at risk, which again is the argument with the Jason Holt one. But the Jason Holt one does look a lot more nasty. And the fact that Bacchus was up and running around again completely fine afterwards means that, of course, there was no major injury there. But I thought even the rest of that first half, we were really, really good. I think full credit though does have to go to Ivan. Obviously stepping in with Shamal being injured. I think if we have, if that is the last that we've seen of Ivan in between the sticks for Livingston, I mean, it's got to be said he's literally done nothing wrong. I mean, he is a very, very good goalkeeper, and and I know that it's more that he wants to move back home, which is understandable under the circumstances. But he pulled off a couple of absolutely brilliant saves. One in the first half. Can't remember who. I think it was maybe Mark O'Hara that hit it, and pulled off an absolutely fantastic save in the second half as well. point blank range from, I think it was Brophy. Just, outstanding saves. But we get ourselves in front, while they go down to 10 men as well, which, watching that back, that was never a yellow card. Mark O'Hara doesn't even touch Bruce Anderson. But, doesn't matter. The game's well and truly gone now. But, great free kick into the box. Stephen Kelly, he's really quickly becoming one of my, sort of standout players of this season. Great ball into the box.
Pull down, you one up.
So Stephen Kelly, great ball into the box. Montano gets there first, smacks off the post. Keeper has no clue where the ball is. Manages to get a wee touch on it, but just passes it straight back to Montano. And Montano was getting really wound up. There was a lot of fouls going. Like where he was clearly being fouled in the first half and getting absolutely nothing, so you could tell certainly first half he was getting really riled up. And I think when you watch back his celebration, you can kind of see that there's a bit of passion there, and then, to be honest, when it comes to their goal, it's an excellent goal. Really good build up, good cross into the box, and not an easy finish for Maine to put it in, but as soon as it went out wide and as soon as the ball went in, it was pretty much guaranteed to be a goal. The only thing is, Ayo really should have stepped out to the ball before the cross even came in. But again, the game's well and truly gone. So although, when we look back at it now, that's kind of the beginning of a, 3 games unbeaten run. But St Mirren, I don't think were really worth their money until really the second half. They kind of came into it a bit. The red card disrupted them a little bit. It didn't disrupt us. We just kept playing our standard game. But I think overall, I think a draw was probably a fair result. I don't think we certainly didn't do enough to win the game, but I don't think St Mirren did enough to win the game either. So, and over the piece, it was a good result. And another point on the board after certainly after an extremely disappointing result against Hibs.
Yeah, no, totally agree. From what I watched the highlights and things. Okay, Thomas, let's keep on that positive, unbeaten train. Keep us going, baby.
Yeah, Motherwell. This was my only game over the festive period, which was a bit shit, to be honest, that I only managed to make one game, but it was nice. I went down with my brother, and we don't get to go to that many games after having like a season ticket and gone to the playoffs together years ago, and me and Jake getting Ben steaming when he was 15-year-old.
Disclaimer, no comment.
Aye. It was legal. He was with his adult guardian.
Having a meal. It's with a meal.
It was with a meal. With a meal in the pub in Glasgow. So it was good to get down at the game with him. He was at the St Mirren game, and I think he was quite buzzing because he thought it was a decent game, and enjoyed the way that Livy played. 10-15 minutes into the Livy Motherwell game, he turns around to me and says, "Thomas, this is how I remember Livingston games being," which says a lot about the quality of the game. We weren't bad, we weren't awful, certainly in stages, but it wasn't the best game. I think it was a bit dull. There was a lot of mistakes by both teams. It was very scrappy. The officials were letting nothing go. It was so stop-start. Everything was getting called back. It was kind of crazy. It was a good goal from us. Great ball into the box, and lovely to see Morgan Boys in the score sheet as well. Looked like it meant a lot to him. So that is obviously excellent. The only problem is they got up 2 minutes later and score straight away, which isn't so good. Their goal is the biggest fucking shithousery of a good luck goal you'll ever see. The amount of bounces it takes, just kind of like unfortunate bounces for us and good drops for them, that means it goes into the box, and the boys just kind of hooked it over his shoulder. It's a good finish, to be fair to him, but the fact that he even had the ball, you could say it's maybe poor defending, but it's unfortunate. And that wank Van de Ween, whatever the fuck his name is he was about 10 yards offside when the ball was played to him in the build-up. When he ran down the left, linesman was about 10 yards behind the line of play.
Yeah, I was
He
going to
was
ask you
so
that.
far off, and the lino had no chance because he was so far behind, and it happened quite a few times. Throughout the game, he called a few offside. He called Brucey offside once in the first half, and it was never offside. So, not too much fun with a linesman on our side, but it could have been worse because Douglas Ross was the linesman on the other side. So,
no.
I think I heard a chant. And apologies to anyone who's this way inclined, but there was a lovely fan behind me who said, "We'd rather have that Tory cunt over here," which I thought was fantastic.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was great. I was chuckling at that. It was very, very good.
And just on that, like, isn't it? It's so weird. Imagine Keir Starmer being a linesman for the Premier League. It's just so bizarre. Like
Nicola Sturgeon on the VAR.
Oh man, it's bizarre.
Yeah, it's a bit odd, isn't it? I think he was getting dogs abuse for the Motherwell fans, which is also fucking hilarious. So fair play. One big positive from that game: Stephen Bradley came on and made his debut. And I thought he looked really, really good. He had a cracking wee shot where he cut in from the right-hand side, and it must have turned about 3 times in the air because the referee, the goalkeeper, made a bit of a meal of it to save it. And he looked good. He looked exciting. He was trying things, trying the balls in behind. Some good link-up play with Devlin on the right. So yeah, that's a big positive, and he's going to continue playing well, in my opinion, moving forward. So good positive from that game. And as we said, unbeaten. It's a point, not the best game, but it's a point, and it keeps us in the hunt. So yeah, good day out.
Yeah, that's really positive. I mean, I'm buzzing Morgan Boyce is starting. I've always really, really liked him. I knew just needed a run of games and a bit of confidence in as well, especially when the Fitzy and Obi together have been a wee bit shaky of recent. Yeah, really, really liking that. So let's keep on.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention. I was going to mention Morgan Boyce as well. In the St. game, I thought he was solid at the back, and he's got some like remember like where Fitzwater used to do like the switch of ball, switching over and stuff. Morgan Boyce has got a great range of passing on him, so still a little bit rough around the edges, but yeah, he's. I think he's really putting his name on the team sheet now, and I haven't seen Stephen Bradley personally yet, but from what I'm hearing, I think we've picked up a real proper gem, and yeah, so that just gives us, when we've got Newbley and Guthrie back, for example, it's going to make our front line actually pretty scary to think of. It's going to be a pretty good front line, I think.
Yeah, I think it's good having that an extra option as well, because obviously we kind of thought our 3 for like 2 games was like Newbley, Bahambula and Guthrie. We're really liking that, but then we're just about to talk about Ross County. Bruce Anderson's coming into it. It'll be interesting where he's going to go. Is he going to stick with Bahambula? Is he going to go Bradley? It's good. It's a really great. It's good. It's great. It's exciting. I'm glad we've had that extra bit of headache to Martindale. I think you're going to say something, Povey. Am I right?
Oh, just on the Guthrie point, I'm of the opinion where, he had an alright start, like relatively impressive start. Everyone talks about that diving header. Everyone like us talking about that.
Yeah.
And then, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Guthrie didn't feature at all the rest of the season. Like, honestly,
I think people even forget that he's even still here.
Genuinely.
Once those boys come back, that you're saying, like, there's no way he's featuring. I just can't see him featuring. I know we don't have many options, but we're still in January. You never know. But if we'll pick up a striker or whatever, but I just can't see Guthrie featuring. I personally don't. I've not seen enough of him. I've seen him be way worse than the good. I just don't think he's up to it. And I'd be surprised.
I think when everyone's fit, I think our front 3 will consist of probably Newbley, Bradley, and
Bruce
Anderson. Because I think, but Bruce, I mean, surely Davies not going to get Newbley back and then just automatically replace him. Like automatically replace Bruce. He can't. I think Bruce needs someone like like last season with Forrest and Forrest and Bailey. Bruce did so well. He needs players that can create. Bradley can create. It seems Newbley can most definitely create chances. So and I'm not saying and I'm not saying like drop people like Baham Bula, because he's really starting to impress me now. Like I can see, like even in the Hibs game, he was the best thing about the Hibs game, and we took him off after the red card, and I just thought that was a ridiculous decision to do that. But now for me, Bruce has to be up front with, and I reckon we'll probably stick with something along the lines of Bradley and Baham Bula, maybe swapping out every so often, but with Newbley alongside him. I think Guthrie will be warming the bench, coming on for the like what Isma's been doing, just basically coming on for the last couple of minutes.
I agree, and I would say starting with Bradley and having Bambula as an impact player. See, when you bring him on, it's exciting. It's like the game's going to change a wee bit. We're going to get that directness, and yeah, it's good to have him. I would certainly, from what I've seen, start Bradley, Newbley on the left, and Brucey up top. I think that's brilliant. That.
Yeah, which is something we would never really have thought about before this January window. So that's good. Okay, so let's go into our most kind of our best performance and best result so far in the kind of Christmas period. I think we all kind of shat ourselves a little bit thinking about the team selection. We had no Pitts, we had no Holt. Our bench, our starting 11 looked all right, but our bench, 2 goalies, it was pretty depleted. We didn't know what was going to happen next. But overall, a great result and a really tough place to go up in Dingwall. But yeah, really good. Bruce, let's just very quickly talk about kind of bits and bobs of the game. I think the main highlight's got to be Bruce Anderson. I'm so buzzing for him. That is, obviously his goal against Kelly was a huge thing, but getting two strong striker goals. Perfect for going into this run of games, boys. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to do his confidence a world of good, because I think there was a Kelly game, and then after the Kelly game, it just started that really tough run that we've basically just talked about. So playing him up front on his own against Celtic isn't necessarily very effective. And then Hibs, we go down to 10 men. St Mirren, we go down to 10 men. So he's just kind of just having to do some running, really, and then taking a chance if it comes to him. But unfortunately, not very many chances did come to him in those games. But those 2 goals, again, though, you've got to look at the setups, the assists essentially for those goals. Shinnie for the second goal, just finding a brilliant pass. And I've been very, very critical, as you all know, on the group chat about Andrew Shinnie. I think I was critical of him the last time I was on the podcast, and I just don't really see it. But a great pass, and the defending as well is absolutely fucking woeful. The fact that guy literally stood off of Bruce Anderson from the halfway line to the 6-yard box, just stood off of him, never even tried to put in a challenge, and another defender coming in behind is just trotting along like, oh, you've got him there, you've got him, you'll be fine, you'll be fine,
you get him.
But without a doubt, it was a fantastic finish, a great goal, great run, and again, that you could see the confidence. You could see the confidence, like when he scored the first one, and that finish. I'm still trying to work out the physics of the first goal. Like he near enough does the splits in order to get that ball into the back of the net. You know what I mean? So, but you could see he was absolutely overjoyed with getting that goal. So. I think Bruce Anderson with the shooting boots back on is only going to be a good thing for us, again, with players like Newbley coming back, and the run of games that we've got coming up isn't exactly difficult, but it's also not exactly an easy run of games. So Bruce Anderson getting back in, I'm all for it.
definitely good to see with Bruce. But Povey, you must have been thinking after the drill performance and Bruce's performance that you were probably going to get a call up, because at the end of the day, you did score more goals than Bruce Anderson.
Well, that's true. I mean, honestly, I don't know why I'm not on penalties for a start. We've got so many more points. But yeah, I think he probably had a good look at my technique, and that's how he got that. That's how he got that goal in. Yeah,
that was a Povey-esque kind of move, that, by the way, for that first goal.
I know, that's sort of like
loopy.
Shift your whole body. I mean, that's a lot of body to move. And wrap the foot around it. Look one way, foot the other way. It's genius. Works every time.
Povey masterclass for sure.
It helps when Hack's in goal as well, though.
Oh, come on.
Nobody was catching that. Come on.
Nah, no way. Fucking Barthez would be watching that just going, fucking no chance. I don't know why I mentioned Barthez. What an older keeper. God, I'm
well, here's one for you. What I just found out today. Do you know what Fabian Barthez does now?
A racing driver.
He's a racing driver.
No way.
A racing car driver. George Weah. Remember George Weah, who scored like one of the most iconic Premier League goals of all time? George Weah is the president of Liberia.
No way.
Just random shit I found out today.
Christmas facts with Almond View podcast.
What?
Amazing.
And Douglas Ross was a linesman.
Hey!
The fat Tory cunt.
There we go. Unless you can still like the Almond View podcast and be a Tory. You're just a wanker. Anyway, Thomas, I'm going to go to you because I know you did watch the game. As is there. Yeah, Owen mentioned Andrew Shinnie. We've been a bit hot and cold with him. I'm actually personally a fan. I think he has been good. What was kind of his performance at the game? And also double-edged sword. So first about Shinnie. Second one, obviously we've been told that it was a kind of depleted Livingston team and kind of a bit makeshift. Did it look like that on the day?
So Shinnie all round is probably the best I've seen him for over 90 minutes for Livy. I thought he was brilliant. He was creating, getting the balls in the right places, winning the ball, breaking it up a wee bit. So I was really, really impressed, and we needed someone to have a performance like that in that game, just to kind of set us off. The ball into Brucey was wonderful. Like, see that angle that Blair got from behind it? It's just lovely.
Sexy.
There's not often I show a pass to Rebecca and she's like, aye, that's good, unless it's for fucking Andy Robertson or something like that. But she was like, oh, aye, that's nice. I rate that. But aye, it was good. On the defender on that goal, I think you're being a wee bit harsh. I think everyone's been a wee bit harsh on I think Brucey does very, very well because the defender doesn't want to commit too early, right? Because you're 40 yards for goal, you commit too early, Brucey beats you. You're literally leaving him 1v1. So you're trying to wait for Brucey to make a mistake, and Brucey kind of kept him on his toes. He kept it moving, didn't make a bad touch or a mistake, which is easy to do on a park like that, and kind of pinned him back. Obviously, he could have done better, but slightly harsh on the defender.
See what a ball like that as well, Thomas. Like Brucey, kept the ball going as it with the pace it was going at, and you got to remember Brucey's well nippy. You see him for 90 minutes, he is all over the place, and he is fast. We forget he's actually well fast.
Aye, agreed. So it's a difficult job when he's running you like that, and hopefully we can get him into those positions a wee bit more, because he did really, really well, and it's a great finish. But on the depleted squad, I'll say I think Davey summed it up perfectly. We probably didn't deserve to come away with the 3 points. The difference was finishing. You've got 2 great finishes for Bruce and 2 or 3 honking misses for them. Absolutely honking.
Yeah.
That wank, their manager, was it Malky Mackay?
Yeah. Malky.
He's such a horrible bastard. Almost as bad as Douglas Ross. Was saying after the game, and he was spot on, to be fair. They're finishing. They had two amazing chances that they really should have done better. So on kind of reflection, we struggled. There was a stage in the second half, I think before we scored, where we were really pinned back and they had some really good chances. It's Shamal's been good since he got back. I've been impressed. He's had a few good games. He's more commanding. Pulled off some great saves at the weekend just there as well. And probably, I think he pulled off a really good one at 0-0. And that's a game changer, because that we go 1-0 down, they start sitting back, and we don't get the opportunity to kind of run at them like Brucey did for his goal, for his second. So, yeah, I think getting the first goal was absolutely key in that game, because with the way that we were playing, kind of not the best, we would, I don't think we would have broken them down if they would have sat in. So yeah, it was good. You know, it's tough this stage of the season with this run of games, having players out, Holt, Pitts, players that can come on and change it. It's difficult without that, or players that can start and give us that kind of more dominating presence in the midfield at the start. But a big turning point the game there was Omiyonga coming on. I think you maybe mentioned it in the chat, Povey. Thought Omiyonga was brilliant when he came on. Absolutely fantastic. Was everywhere in the midfield, nipping about. Had a couple of good shots as well, which is something that we've not seen from him. You know, went close a couple of times. So good to see. Hopefully, you know, I'd love to see him score before the end of the season. I think it would be brilliant.
Oh man, absolutely.
Aye, it would be class. You know, he just doesn't need. It needs to not be a 1v1 because he'll shit himself. But if he can score like a wee 35-yard screamer, that'd be nice. But he was brilliant when he came on. Really, really good. And you know, the sooner we get back to, you know, that more kind of stable midfield three, or at least rotating round our current midfielders, because like Sean Kelly's done all right. He's been playing well. The others have done well. So, you know, these players coming back as the fixture list starts to calm down a little bit is only a good thing, and hopefully, you know, plenty more points on our race for Europe.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And yeah, Povey made a great point in the group chat just about how kind of influential he's been. So, a couple things before we move on. First of all, off air, Owen mentioned a fact that we forgot about Cancelo. Was it Cancelo? Apparently, he was about to sign for us. Owen, you kind of mentioned that. I completely forgot about
Cancola. Yeah, Cancola. So I remember. I think it was last season. Was it that we drew 1-1 with Ross County at home, and David Cancola scores the goal. And his celebration was a little bit over the top, and I'm like, what was this all about? And it turns out that Cancola had actually been on trial with Livingston, and David Martindale had basically told him to beat it. And so then he signed for Ross County. He scored against us, so his celebration was all like basically getting it up Davy and Livy, which I find quite funny. But his finish on Saturday was fucking awful. I mean, how on earth? I mean, come on. Even Liam could have fucking scored that, and he got 0 in UK in the drill.
No, Liam would have fucked it. No way. Liam's got not one big giant bobby to stand on. Now, after that performance, doesn't matter what he said about dropping the shudder there. No, I'm sorry. When you get 0, okay, cool. So that was good to know. So absolutely get it fucking up him. And the last thing, on a sour note, unfortunately, our beloved Marvin Bartley has this week said after that game was his last game as assistant manager, and is now going to join Queen of the South. Personally, absolutely gutted. I loved Marvin Bartley. I thought he was brilliant for the club. Great player, great manager. The touching things, or seeing all the players' things on Instagram talking about, you know, how much you're going to miss him and stuff like that. So, guys, what's your thoughts for the future? Do you think that's going to impact us? At all, Povey, I'll go to you. You've not spoken about. Do you think it's going to impact us pretty badly, or do you think because the way that Livingston are set up through Martindale, probably, and the way that Marvin's kind of worked all through the season, things won't change too much? What's your thoughts?
It's hard to say. I mean, in terms of, I would say we're definitely going to miss him, and he's going to be hard to replace. I really don't know the situation if Martindale gets someone else in or whatever. But I hope that we get someone like. I mean, I'll do it if he asks. But I mean,
he will ask.
The striking, we'll definitely no be missing penalties anyway. Of course, he's had such a big impact on what's been an amazing era for the club. like obviously as a player, cup final, just being there during a whole special era. It's just a shame he wasn't there to, even as a assistant manager, to see us in Europe. Assuming this is the dream here, like. But I fair play to him. It was probably going to happen at some stage. Out the blue, though, it took us all by surprise. And I mean, I don't want to dwell on it too much because fuck it, onwards and upwards, and I can't see it impacting us that much on the pitch. I just think, like, generally, generally, and maybe, like, I reckon he was a good part of bringing in players. Omiyonga, obviously, I love Omiyonga, and to me, he's our best player probably right now, to be honest, for me. He should be starting every game. But getting someone like Omiyonga, and I know we know that Livingston's wages aren't amazing, but he could easily be at any getting way more money somewhere else. And I think Marvin Bartley was a big part in that. So I mean, that's just one example. Yeah, we're going to miss him big time in that sense. But hopefully, in terms of like where we're at and how we're playing on the park, and it doesn't impact it that much, and hopefully we get someone else in. I think Martindale's good at bringing in these characters, though. I'll not forget, like, John Hartson. I reckon he had a good part to play. That one day a week apparently he was in, but like, if you're Ryan Hardy and Lee Miller and you've got John Hartson working with you, it's gonna like motivate you and make you score. We scored loads of that back end of that season when he was with us. I could see him. Right, I could see somebody coming, but I'll do it, as I say. If I get asked.
I think if I check on Sky Bet now, it will be Stephen Povey, the bookie's choice, 100%. Next up will be probably David Fernandez, and then there'll be you, Povey, and that is it. There's only two options. Cool. Brilliant.
There's one other thing that we've kind of forgotten about. We actually have another player coming in.
We do have another player coming in, and now
Louis De Lucas, centre half. So we're still waiting on his clearance coming in or something like that. But but we do actually have another player coming into us as well. So,
and he was with us in Turkey. He was trying.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he looked pretty solid because I watched both of the friendlies, or at least most of both of the friendlies, and pardon me, Bradley most definitely stood out in those friendly games. But I hope I'm pronouncing his name rightly. Louis De Lucas.
I like it.
So
Lucas.
Well, of course, I think we're fast expecting Fitzwater to not sign a new deal. We might be looking for money for him in this window. And I don't think Kankar's gonna be the man to replace him. So I can maybe see Kankar going out on loan to Queen of the South. Obviously, it depends on how many players Queen of the South already have on loan. I don't know. But no, I don't think that Marv listens to the podcast, but if he does, all the best, big man. I think Queen of the South certainly seems like a great fucking hell, Thomas. Every fucking week with that fucking Doug on the podcast.
You can't see at home, folks, but Tam is absolutely getting off with his Doug.
He's getting his face raped by a Doug.
Full on. And things though, Tam's full on like tonguing him back as well. Oh yes, as well. Tam, don't do that. I'll get horny, man. That's all I need these days. Okay, now let's talk about our wonderful ladies, our shining light of Livingston. At the end of the day, we are still top of the league. The women are playing still really, really well. We've got a number of games coming up. Now, we did have a bit of an upsetting one against Inverness in the Cup where we felt we could have had a legs go. But you know what? We move on. A great result after that against Dryborough, against 5-0 away, I think, which is pretty great. Thomas, let's just talk about kind of what's coming up for the ladies. back to kind of, I know there's every now and then, obviously not professional football players, people have other commitments. Sometimes, we're not always at full strength for the games. Do you think everyone's kind of back, apart from probably Rachel Walkinshaw? Do you think everybody else is still kind of ready to go and to finish off the next half strong?
Yeah, looks like it. Sounds like the turn-ups for their kind of mini pre-season that they've had over the last kind of week or so have been good. Getting the cobwebs off and doing some fitness work. I know I've heard it's been some quite tough training sessions, but that's a good thing. They need to get back and ready after the feast of Christmas.
It's a long time off, actually. How long have they been off for about a month as well?
Yeah, they have. It should have been slightly less, but they had a game cancelled due to the weather just before. I can't remember who it was against, but it was due to be the last game before Christmas, and that got cancelled because of a frozen pitch or something like that. I think it was when we had that cold snap. But a month off, it can be a good thing because after a kind of fairly decent end to last year, obviously getting knocked out of the cup, which was a shame, but it was never the priority, so not a big deal. But it can kind of let the pressure off a little bit, that sort of a break, go back fresh, knowing what they need to do to win the league, and that's the aim. So yeah, positive going forward.
So I was talking to Connor Stables about this, shout out to our boy, for the Hibs game, and he was kind of letting me, give me a bit of insight in. So you might know better than this than Connor, and also than me. So we're talking about, if the women do win this league, do they go up into the? Is it into? So he was, forgive my ignorance. So he was kind of saying that the first two leagues of the women, of like the Prem and stuff, they're run by one kind of business head, and then the other two are kind of run by a slightly different one. So when you get promoted, you don't necessarily go into the second tier of the other one. Is that true? What's the kind of progression looking like? I was kind of made to believe that you just go up, same as what Gart Cairn did, and then you would join that league as well. Is that correct? Or?
Yeah, so it is ran, I believe it's ran by the SFA, the top two leagues, or the SPL or the SPFL. The top two leagues, they took it over to try and give it a bit more legitimacy and use their kind of know-how in running leagues, which is debatable. But these ones below, so the Championship, which Livy are in the now, is ran by SWF, Scottish Women's Football. That being said, I haven't heard anything about not getting promoted straight up into Prem 2. I don't know. There might be some. There was some teams when the league split this year, and they went from the north-south divide for the Championship to the kind of the one league. There was teams that didn't hit the mark with facilities and things like that. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I think it's Edinburgh City dropped down, who are one of the better teams in the Championship South last season. They dropped down a league because they didn't fulfil the requirements for facilities for the league, for the Championship this year, which is a bit of a shambles, to be honest, because there's other teams that definitely don't fulfil the requirements. Inverness, for example, they might have their main playing ground as the Inverness Stadium, but they play there once a year, and they play at a high school every other week that doesn't even have corner flags. So those arbitrary kind of levels of having good enough facilities to be there, and then people just take the piss out of them, I think it's a bit of a joke, because Edinburgh City were one of the better teams, and they were more of an up and coming team than some of the teams that are in the league this year. That being said, there may be requirements when you do go up to the Prem, so Prem 2 and Prem 1, there might be requirements there, but I can't see Livingston having any problem, because they've got a good setup. Obviously all the facilities that you can ask for, all the facilities of a Premier League football team. The club has invested money in sorting out the changing facilities around the back for the ladies and for the youth teams as well, around behind the East Stand. So the facilities are in pretty good nick as far as it goes, and I mean, not everyone gets to play at a Premier League football ground every week like the ladies do, or most weeks. They shouldn't have any issues going up.
Cool. I was just kind of wondering that when he kind of said, I was like, I know who I'm going to ask, our resident ladies man, Thomas Frome. And just kind of lastly to kind of finish up, obviously we've got a long season ahead. There's still a lot of games to play. Who do you think are the players that are going to stand out for the rest of the season? Obviously we've got Ashley Elizabeth, my apologies. Obviously another kind of front runner. We've got a lot of we've got our new signing. Remind me, is it Brogan?
Yes.
Who had a great end to the end of last year. Jess had a great starting season. Who are the kind of the players you think are going to kind of step up and kind of secure the top spot?
That's a difficult question. I think it's hard to single people out because, to be honest, they've all been playing really well. Some really big wins so far this year in really tough games. I think kind of maybe where they struggled last year in the big games, kind of second half of the season, was leaking goals, kind of late in games. Going 1-0 up, conceding a goal, and then back to the wall. So, and that's changed. Mentality's changed a lot this year. So, I think the centre defensive partnership is solid. That three with Fee, Tash, and Jess, they've been really, really good. So they'll be very, very influential in what happens for the rest of the season. There's some young players in there as well, ready to cover, and that's super positive. Then, yeah, I mean, there is players all over the park. Obviously, Brogan coming in is huge and will really help chip him with the goals. Ashley, I know she's had a few kind of injury issues, and I don't think she was 100% fit at the end of last year. Hopefully this break has allowed her to kind of get that fitness back to playing at 100%. And you can't I've just talked about the whole park, but you can't discount the midfield. Shannon is a machine. Wins every challenge. I wouldn't go into a 50-50 with her. I'd be terrified. And she wins every in the middle park. Gemma Mason, Ammonview sponsored Gemma Mason, has been fantastic this year. Had a much better season than last season, I believe. Chipped in a few class goals as well, and the others as well. Obviously, Rebecca, be good to see her get a good run of games and kind of come into the bit of form that kind of everyone knows that she's got in her. So all across the park, I think they all need to step up a bit. I think you can't just kind of rest on your laurels because no other team's going to do that. You've seen other teams bringing players in. Rossvale seem to have signed half of Livingston.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, two players. Vicky and Ali.
Is Vicky at Rossvale now?
Yeah, Vicky's at Rossvale.
Wow.
Really interesting. The last home game against Rossvale, she didn't get out her own half. The way that Livy played, they had her absolutely pinned in.
Really?
Yeah, and that just kind of summed up that game. Really, she couldn't do much. Couldn't get up the park because of how well Livy played and how disciplined Livy were on the press and winning the ball back high at the park. So, yeah, big end to the season. Obviously, we're only 13 games in. There's a long way to go, as you said.
Yeah.
But I think they've got the mentality and certainly the ability to do it. And, as I said earlier, coming back after this break, I hope they're refreshed and they're up for it because hopefully, it's only going to increase the awareness and the support around the club if they do kind of pull this off at the end of the season. And I'm sure if we do end up winning the league, there'll be a big crowd there to see them lift the trophy. Yeah. I really, really hope so. We're maybe getting ahead of ourselves, but it's good.
It's definitely within our grasp. Now, also some really good news from the club and for the women's team about our extending of our youth women's team as well. Did I see a 16s and 17s team as well? Kind of from Blackburn, kind of getting and taken into Livingston's wing, which is great. That's what Paul spoke about when he was on this podcast about bringing in the younger players in and bringing in from the development and all this stuff. Really, really positive. Great to see from the club. And surely just it's exciting to see about Livingston women's football. It's only going to improve and more players coming in. Actually, just before I forget, Livingston women's have Ayr on Sunday at the Tony Macaroni Arena, and did you say it's at 4:00? So please, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, if you are at a loose end, it's not too much to go and support the girls, and especially with the men being in Perth. You get your home game injected into you and give all the girls the best support we can. So, absolutely, here's to another win against Ayr. Keep the beat going. Ladies, all the best. Let's fucking go. Okay, so let's move on to our a newish feature of January. So this one is called It's Only January, but... Okay, so we're going to give our predictions for the rest of the season. Now, I know we're doing this feature, but we have not discussed this before, so I'm not quite sure what's coming, especially from Owen, because it could be something fucking wild. But before we get that, I'm going to start off with our beautiful Thomas Fro with his lovely dog shagging his mouth. You can't see it, but it's still happening. So Thomas, take us away for It's Only January, but...
It's only January, but I'm going to stick with my prediction from the start of the season.
Oh, okay.
I suggested that we were going to play beautiful football, interlinking passing, a fluid front three, and we were going to get third, and we were on our way to Europe. Will we get third? Probably not, because, to be honest, nobody wants third, or that's what it looks like, because Hearts are shit, everyone else is shit, and nobody seems to want to take advantage of that. But I think we're going to Europe fourth. I'm going to say fourth. We're going to finish fourth in the league, and I'm going to say we're not going to score a penalty again for the rest of the season. But it doesn't matter, because we'll be winning 2-0 at a time anyway, so it won't matter so much. But it's going to become a running thing. They're going to start missing them intentionally by the end of the season. And we're going for that record of most penalties missed in a season. That's my prediction.
Well, I was going with Owen for the most wild, but that is pretty wild from you, Thomas. But I actually really like the positivity. So yeah, fuck it. We're going to Europe. We're going to Sligo away, 100p.
I'm literally just about to renew my passport because I believe.
You believe?
I believe. And I'm going away at the end of this year. But I believe that the main reason why I'm renewing my passport is because we're going to Europe. 100%. Right. Let's fucking go.
Love that from you. Okay, Povey, I'll go to you next then. It's only January, but
well, Thomas kind of touched on what my one was going to be, but I'm going for the complete opposite. It's only January, but we're not going to miss any more penalties. Yes. We're going to get fucking penalties in every game. We're going to top C. We're going to do all the daft wee penalties you can. But they're all going in. And it's purely because they've seen me take a penalty. And if they haven't, they need to. But that's it. There'll be a penalty every other game. We're going to score it. And yeah. And it'll be the one goal scorer, and it's going to be Bruce Anderson because he's on penalties now. And yeah, that's my prediction. In fact, I'm going to add on top of that. Sorry if this touches on anyone else's.
Don't do it.
Bruce Anderson's going to be top goal scorer as well because of all the pens.
No, I knew you were going to say that. It was mine.
Thomas kind of touched on my one, so there you are. On to you.
Right, fuck. Right, over to Owen next while I think of another one. It's only January, but...
It's only January, but Livingston will make top 6. And we will do one thing that we have failed to do ever in our history. We will either get a result at Ibrox or Parkhead. Like we will get a victory at either Ibrox or Parkhead. I have full faith that when we have all of these players back from injury and suspensions, top 6 is going to be the aim. And then in that last group section, we will beat either Rangers or Celtic at Ibrox or Parkhead. I'm not saying both. I'm saying that I reckon that we could, most likely would beat Rangers. Ibrox. But of course, what's going to happen now? We'll finish bottom 6. Or we'll finish top 6, and both of our games against Rangers and Celtic are going to be scheduled for the Tony Mac. So, that's my prediction. I think top 6 is very much within our grasp. It's only for us really to fuck it up now, and I reckon that we will do the unthinkable, something that I didn't think any of us would ever have thought possible 5-6 years ago. I reckon that we could possibly beat Celtic or Rangers, and then just be one more win away from beating every single team at everyone's own ground.
I like this. The minute positivity coming from this podcast at the moment is absolutely wonderful. We are changed.
Especially after the last month that we've had.
I know.
I have a feeling that if the result of the weekend was different, we probably would have been absolute miserable bastards.
I would have said, you know what, guys, I've got something else on.
I know. Dave Black should be listening to this podcast and hear how fucking positive we are now, man. What a changed bunch of good guys we are. Okay, going on to the last one is myself. So I had to kind of think on my feet. So it is only January, but Morgan Boys will win an award at the Player of the Year Awards. It's now's his time to shine, if not kind of the most improved, the young player. I think he's going to win something like that. I think he's going to, if he stays fit, play most games to the end of the season, especially if Fitzy kind of moves on. Seems like the kind of person we need in there. A bit of grit. He's still young. He's still going to make mistakes. He's still probably going to get sent off, maybe once or twice before the end of the seasons. But fuck it. I'm a big fan. I like having him here. And hi, Morgan Boys. You're going to take home the Almond View shit medal again this year.
Thanks very much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please check out our previous episodes that include interviews with Livingston legends such as David Fernandez, Barry Wilson, John Guthrie, Sean Byrne, and many more. Check out our social media. Twitter and Instagram is at AmondViewPod. Facebook and YouTube, just search for the Amond View Podcast, and make sure to subscribe to wherever you stream your podcast to get notified about new content. Forza Livy, hope to see you next week.